This is the Cobb-Douglas production function. Analysts measuring AI almost exclusively look here at the A variable, total factor productivity. They wait for the J-curve, assuming AI takes years to boost GDP. That consensus is wrong, assuming intelligence is just an efficiency upgrade. If we look directly at the L variable, labor, a different reality appears. Artificial intelligence is deploying as a near-infinite demographic force. It is directly expanding the labor supply. Waiting a decade for abstract productivity metrics to tick upward obscures what is happening today. AI is already acting as a massive, entirely new working population. To measure this new population's true scale, we must ignore theoretical GDP debates and look at the auditable, physical reality of the power grid. 51 utility companies across the United States have abruptly committed $1.4 trillion to expand grid infrastructure. That single capital expenditure figure doubles the utility investment of the entire previous decade. This sudden surge in heavy utility spending is directly tethered to the mass deployment of AI. We do not need to wait for theoretical equations to resolve. The immense physical footprint of this digital workforce is already registering as heavy industrial demand. This diagram illustrates the strict constraints that cap any traditional workforce. Expanding a labor pool has always faced hard biological and political limits. A human birth requires a mandatory 20-year maturation period before that individual becomes a productive market participant. Beyond birth rates, expansion is rigidly constrained by national immigration quotas and the physiological inevitability of retirement. AI agents bypass these bottlenecks entirely. They replace human biological constraints with physical infrastructure constraints. The ceiling for digital labor expansion is now dictated by advanced semiconductor fabrication, raw electricity generation, land availability, and cooling water. These are absolute physical ceilings, but they are exceptionally wide. They are wide enough to outpace human population growth by orders of magnitude. We can already measure the initial deployment. ChatGPT alone handles roughly 800 million weekly active users. When you factor in automated API calls, secondary sub-accounts, and internal enterprise systems, the number of distinct active agents reaches into the tens of billions. Operating continuously and duplicating at near zero marginal cost, this digital workforce will mathematically surpass the total human workforce within a matter of years. This rapid, accounting-level expansion of the labor supply is enough to drive massive economic growth entirely on its own. There is a secondary misconception among strategists, the assumption that digital labor operates invisibly, without a physical consumption footprint. Look at this comparative flowchart. The left side maps the traditional human consumption footprint. It is highly diffuse, scattered across hundreds of decentralized nodes like housing, food, and transportation. The right side maps the AI agent footprint. It is entirely inverted, a massive, singular pipeline funneling directly into 4 intensely concentrated areas. This structure creates a concentrated demand shock, strictly isolated to heavy power generation and advanced silicon. These agents require immense spatial acreage to house millions of physical servers. And they rely on heavy industrial cooling systems to manage the intense thermal output generated by constant operation. Traditional software applications scale with zero marginal cost and zero physical weight. Large-scale artificial intelligence models do not. While AI operates digitally, it demands highly concentrated physical resources. Macroeconomically, it is behaving as an intensely focused class of consumer. The exact scale of this concentrated demand can be read directly from the global energy ledger. This chart maps the power draw of modern compute infrastructure. A single 100-megawatt training cluster requires the exact same continuous energy output as a small city. The next-generation data center parks currently under construction will each draw enough power to supply 2 million homes. In 2024, United States data centers consumed 183 terawatt-hours of electricity. That matches the entire annual energy usage of Pakistan. Data centers accounted for roughly 4% of the U.S. power grid last year. By 2030, multiple agencies project that allocation will surge to between 9 and 17%. By 2026, the global requirement is projected to hit a staggering 1,050 terawatt-hours. This is a ranked chart of global power consumption by nation-state. If we consolidate this distributed digital infrastructure into a single hypothetical entity, an AI nation, it instantly becomes the fifth largest energy consumer on Earth. This new digital population requires more raw energy than Japan, placing it right below the total usage of Russia. Intelligence requires massive raw materials to exist. This creates an auditable physical accounting trail, definitively proving its economic scale. A traditional economic demographic dividend requires two things: a rapid expansion in the labor supply and a massive expansion in consumption demand. Because AI fulfills both of these distinct engines simultaneously, it operates as a mathematically valid population replacement. This combination has historical precedence. The first chart traces the 19th century coal consumption curve, the footprint of the first industrial revolution. The middle chart tracks the 20th century electricity baseload curve, and this is the 21st century data center power curve. The geometry of all three tracks perfectly. The physical proof of industrial-scale change registers first in heavy energy consumption, often before it appears in delayed GDP statistics. The climb in power consumption and the surge in utility investment provide the physical evidence of this expansion. These figures mirror the scaling of coal and electricity seen in previous industrial transitions. While the debate over the ultimate return on investment continues, the physical scale of the deployment is already being written into the global ledger. Macroeconomic models no longer need to wait for theoretical productivity metrics to resolve the uncertainty of the moment. The consumption footprint of this new demographic population is already locked into the physical racks of our infrastructure. Multi-trillion-dollar investments in substations and cooling towers represent capital being deployed today. This infrastructure expansion is happening in response to current, measurable demand. The reading has already occurred. The infinite digital population is here, and the global grid proves it.